I can be honest about...
Oh, we live. My bad. I take my parents serious. My bad, bro.
I mean, look, this is supposed to be a locker room, right?
Not this specific.
I mean, no, that's what we do here, right? Like, it's what we do.
I mean, every time he brushing, but I don't see, like...
No wave. Like, there's not one singular wave.
Hey, listen.
Not one iota of a wave, not an atom of a wave. Not like, there's not one wave.
Now,
y'all
my boys.
He took it there. He took it
y'all
there.
don't want to joke. Not on live television.
Here's the thing. I mean, can we
I
clarity?
will embarrass y'all.
For clarity.
Get to Russell Wilson.
The purpose of all of the hair brushing and the do-rag wearing and the wave cap wearing is for the waves. And when I look at LeSean McCoy's hair, I do not see a wave. So I'm just curious as to what you doing all the brushing for.
Hey, Acho, you got one more warning, dog. You will be the talk on Twitter. I'm telling you.
My man, hey, he tried to get his joke right, too. He looked you up and down.
Listen, I'm telling you, you know what I mean? It will get ugly on this set.
Shady said, look, do I come for his shoes? Do I come for that?
I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know the public going to ride with me.
This is true. You will win in the court of public opinion. Can I get back to the show then, Shady?
Please do.
Okay, back to the show. So Russell Wilson, he is the talk of the town. I think, though, Shady, the expectations for Russ in Pittsburgh, they are too high. Everybody's saying that the Steelers are a quarterback away. Russell Wilson is the quarterback. You think the expectations are too high?
I don't think so. I mean, we're asking Russ is going there to just be an efficient quarterback. That's what he's been his whole career. Aside from that 1 year in Denver, where they had dysfunctional organization, right? For the last couple of years, they don't win at all. They don't develop players. You get in the thing with Hackett, you see what he did. So I don't think the pressure's too much for Russ. Go in there, we have a great defense. You know what to do with that. You've been there. Solid special teams. You've been there. You had that before. Go in there and just play ball. They got a good running game. You had that before. And everything he's had before, he's done well with. He's doing the same thing in Pittsburgh. So I think the team, the players, you've been reading, like, one thing that Tom Brady always taught us is like, yo, if you want to know about a player, read the news clippings of what they're saying about him.
That's true.
Right? Not what he said about himself, but what they said about him. Everything they kept saying is how he's still determined. He wants to win. He has that fire in his eyes again. The eye of the tiger, Rocky Balboa. Philadelphia, he's real. Anyway, if he can just keep that fire up, keep the guys, being a leader like he's always been, they're going to be fine. They're going to be happy to have Russ.
Well said, Joy Taylor.
I don't think the expectations are too high for Russell Wilson. This is still a quarterback that won a Super Bowl and went back to another one. He's what most of us think is a Hall of Famer, or at least was on a Hall of Fame trajectory at one point in his career. He's a fringe Hall of Famer at best if you don't feel like he is a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And he still can play football. So the expectations are completely appropriate. What do we expect of someone who just got $100 million in Kirk Cousins? We expect for him to take them to the playoffs and probably win a playoff game. We're not talking about them like they're a championship-level organization, but he is supposed to improve what is a really good young roster and a rebuilding organization. What do we expect from Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield won a playoff game, right?
I thought you were going to let Acho answer it. Go ahead, but go ahead.
I mean,
It wasn't
because what are we expecting from Baker Mayfield?
we expect him to get them to the playoffs, probably win a playoff game.
Right. Anything
Anything more than that is a little on the positive side, right?
We'll praise him.
Would be an incredible accomplishment. I think that that's a fair expectation for Russell Wilson at this point. And forget the fact that he's not being paid a lot by the Steelers. He's being paid a lot by somebody. It just ain't Pittsburgh. So the expectations are completely fair. I think they're realistic, and I think he's going to achieve it. He is going into a great situation. He's got a Hall of Fame head coach.
Yeah.
He's got an established culture. He's got weapons to work with, and he has a really good to great defense. They were the 8th most takeaways last season. They had the 6th best scoring defense last season. T.J. Watt speaks for himself, 19 sacks last season. Alex Highsmith, they added Patrick Queen. He doesn't have to go in there and establish the organization. He doesn't have to go in there and establish a culture. He's not being asked to do all the things that he was asked to do in Denver. And Denver didn't set him up for success in hiring a first-time head coach.
So what are your expectations for Russ?
My expectations are for Russ to get them to the playoffs and win a playoff game.
If those are the expectations, I don't think they're that high. I don't think those are the actual expectations of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, because I think Baker Mayfield could do that. Get the Steelers to a playoffs and win a playoff game. Kenny Pickett got him to the playoffs. I do think there's a delta between Kenny Pickett and Baker Mayfield. So if the expectations are simply to get to the playoffs, win a playoff game, I don't think they're too high. But I think Russ is being set up. I think he's being set up by us as analysts with the expectations, because the premise is that the Steelers are just a quarterback away.
Yeah.
They're not just a quarterback away. Because if the Steelers are just a quarterback away, then if you bring in a quarterback, then you should be where you think you're supposed to be, which is contending for a Super Bowl. Russ is not the difference between the Steelers and a Super Bowl. Another cornerback is, granted they got Jackson. Patrick Queen, if he can keep playing at the level he played at with Roquan Smith is, but remember, Patrick Queen without Roquan Smith was a linebacker who they didn't pick up the fifth-year option on. A starting center is, a wide receiver number 2 is, a wide receiver number 1 that can prove to be a wide receiver number 1 day in, day out, week in, week out is, but definitely not just Russell Wilson. If the expectations are just a playoff game, then I agree. I'm with Joy on that. I think the expectations are fine. I think that's it. But I think those would be the expectations if you had any top 18 quarterback, like a competent quarterback playing the game. So, James, where do you stand? Too high or no?
Before, because I was a surefire no until I came up here out of this meeting and looked at these notes again and answered. So, no, but I got a question for the whole table. Do you guys think we are holding on to the old Russ for too long?
What's the old Russ?
Great question.
Because he's never been the
winner.
best. He's never been the best player on his team.
I know, but
and he's not now.
What the old Russ did, the old Russ delivered wins. That's why we called him dangerous. That's why when you said Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins, I don't even think we ever had Russell Wilson in the category with those two dudes because of the way Russell Wilson won. I could be wrong, but as I look at this,
he wins, though.
Since 2021, he's 17-27. That's a 39% win percentage. Mm-hmm. The only quarterback that has a worse win percentage is on his team.
Oh, he's awful.
Man, we know who that is. So for me, I feel like, are we holding on to the old Russ to come back and deliver? Because everything's set up perfect, right? Same team, Seattle, right? Basically, right? Defense not as good as the Legion of Boom, but really good defense. Top 10 defense, right? Solid run game.
But that's the
solid
lie.
Receivers on the.
That to me is the lie that we're setting Russ up for. This is not the same team as Seattle. This defense cannot sniff Seattle's defense. This run game cannot touch Marshawn Lynch, with all due respect. Pickens, I know y'all love Pickens. I like Pickens, too. I really like Doug Baldwin.
All I'm saying is, Acho, how were they winning football games last year?
Defense,
of course.
And a solid run game. Not a Marshawn Lynch run game, but a solid run game to help Kenny Pickett. That's how they were winning. That's how Russell Wilson's football teams win. They're not exactly the same talent and all that. The Legion of Boom was something else, but they do have a really good team and a solid run game.
To answer your question, though, right, I think the Steelers can do well with this Russ because it's the old Russ from the Seahawks, right? When they had the defense, they had the running game. Where I think when he went to the Broncos, we was like, yo, he's about to save this franchise. That's what we talked about. They not asking him to do that there. We want the Russ, right, that was good, that managed the game a certain way, let the defense do things, right, control the game, we're going to run the ball, make your plays here and there, but that's a winning formula for Russ. With Denver, it's like he had to be that guy. Russ is not throwing enough yards. We never talked about that. Russ is not doing this. Because that's not him. He going to succeed in this offense, in this team.
But my only thing then, I agree with Acho, because then the expectations got to go up. If we are sitting here saying, with what Kenny Pickett did, the Steelers got here, and then you bring in a Hall of Fame talent quarterback in Russell Wilson, the expectations should be Super Bowl, right?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Contending for a Super Bowl, like...
Keep doing it again for Super Bowl.
Who's contending for a Super Bowl?
I would say the Ravens. I would say the Chiefs. I would say the Bills. I would say the Bengals.
The Bills win a playoff game.
But I'm just saying teams that have a chance.
So are the Bills contending? Because if winning a playoff game is contending for a Super Bowl, because that's what the Bills are doing, correct? Bills weren't in the AFC Championship game.
Not last year, no.
So were the Bills contending for a Super Bowl?
I think as far as teams that you think have a real chance.
But we are talking about results. So results, based off of the results, the Bills won a playoff game, did not make it to the AFC Championship game. Will we call the Bills contending for a Super Bowl? Like, what's the cutoff for contending for a Super Bowl?
To me, the cutoff is, are you capable? Like, based upon what we know about...
They weren't capable because they didn't do it.
Yes, but Joy, you're talking black and white. We're talking about the scales of gray.
Last year,
I don't. Right?
Here you go, Shady. I'm talking black and white right now, which I can do well for that reason also. What are we talking about? We're talking about results. Winning a playoff game, meaning you advance to the next round of the playoffs, is that contending, or is it only the teams that make it to the AFC Championship game contending? Because as we also know, the AFC is a loaded conference.
Yeah.
So where is the scale? Because I agree. I don't think that the Bucks, just because they won a playoff game, were actually contending for a Super Bowl. But why is that applied to the Bucks and doesn't apply to the Bills?
Because I try to, not you, the proverbial you, I try to apply looking at roster, looking at quarterback play, looking at talent, and saying, this team is actually capable of winning. I did not believe the Bucs are capable of winning. Now, the Bucs lost like the Niners lost, but I do think the Niners were actually capable of winning a Super Bowl.
Well, the Niners were actually capable because the Niners were actually there.
Correct, but I would say the Lions lost like the Bucs lost.
But the Lions were in the NFC Championship game.
Correct. The point being is teams can still, like, the Steelers lost in the first round.
Correct.
The Steelers didn't have a shot of contending.
Yeah, they weren't. Not with
not with their quarterback play. So there are teams who you're like, you know what, you could have got them. Like,
what I'm saying is, how do we make the jump from winning one playoff game to winning 2 playoff games? That's a big jump, and there are good teams that we think are contenders that don't do that habitually. The Dallas Cowboys have the most talented roster in the league. Are they in the NFC Championship game? No, they're not, year after year after year after year. So when we talk about these expectations, and we always get crazy with this, the difference between winning a playoff game and not winning a playoff game is a lot. It's very hard to win in the postseason. Being able to even compete is a lot. They weren't able to compete. So to say that Rush would go into a situation, his first year with a new team, in a new system, completely new environments, and take the Steelers from no wins in the playoffs to multiple wins in the playoffs is a realistic expectation. That's not reality. Like, it's dismissive of all the other talented teams in the AFC and what the Steelers actually are.
So I understand the Kansas City Super Bowls is hard to win.
Yes.
Right? I understand the Kansas City Chiefs have been the only team going back there consistently. Every year is different. Every single year we come in here, it's probably 5 to 6 teams that we can sit here and say they have a legit shot to get to the Super Bowl. Whether they win 1 playoff game, 2 playoff games, get to the Super Bowl, they have a legit shot. Ooh, they got a quarterback, the Houston Texans. Ooh, they upgraded on defense. This team has a shot to compete for a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, with what the Steelers have and what they had at the quarterback position last year to the upgrade they have this year, with the team they have a shot to compete for a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson. And I think that should be the expectations. Winning 1 playoff game, we tried to do that with Mason Rudolph last year, and we tried to do that with Kenny Pickett. So with Russ, I just think the expectations should be higher if all of us at this table agree with the quarterback the Pittsburgh Steelers can compete with anybody, right?
So the Steelers have to make it to the AFC Championship game this year?
That should be the expectation. Because if you are acquiring a quarterback who you believe, and I believe too, is a Hall of Famer or fringe Hall of Famer, and you got a coach who's a Hall of Famer or fringe Hall of Famer, but I think Mike Tomlin's a surefire Hall of Famer, like, that should be the expectation. If you ever link up a coach, quarterback, Hall of Fame combination, the expectation, whether it was Drew Brees and Sean Payton, whether it was, we won't speak of Tom Brady, we can talk of Matthew Stafford, fringe Hall of Famer, and Sean McVay. Whenever you Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, but I don't know if people would put Mike in there. I don't want to derail. I'm just being honest. Like, if you ever combine a quarterback, head coach, and they are both Hall of Famers or fringe Hall of Famers, expectation should be compete for that, because otherwise, why get Rodgers?
When has that happened and worked immediately?
Stafford.
Okay, Sean McVay's a really good coach.
He's Tomlin.
I don't think we would have said Sean McVay is a Hall of Famer until after he won the Super Bowl with Stafford. So prior to that, he was a really great coach. A lot of people thought Kyle Shanahan was a better coach than him. So certainly they had comparable resumes. So that's like a really good coach in Matthew Stafford. And I also think that's an outlier. Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, I think, also is an outlier.
But eventually, at what point do outliers become the norm? Because an outlier in 2021 and an outlier in 2020. That's 2 of the last 4.
Right.
Like, outliers usually is an outlier because it happens once in a blue moon.
Real quick. This is why I hate when we talk about Super Bowls and all that. Because, like, it's only a couple people who's winning them. So, like, we always ask about A-Rod and he's going to sink Super Bowl with the Jets and all this. I don't think so. It's only about 3 to 4 teams that we can say can actually go. And we would say, who would it be? Chiefs, right? Niners.
Ravens, you would hope.
I won't even say the Ravens.
I know.
But I get what you're trying to say. Okay.
You would hope.
You see what I'm saying?
That's 3 teams. And guess what all those teams were? In the Super Bowl or in the championship round. So all I'm saying is, like, it sounds good to say that the expectations should be that. Realistically speaking, with all the factors involved, I'm not trying to lower the bar. I just think that winning a playoff game is still an accomplishment, especially when you're considering the fact that they weren't able to get that done. Like, the difference between not winning a playoff game and winning a playoff game could be Russell Wilson, and I think that's a realistic expectation. And I think that he would have at least delivered in the first year what he was brought there to do.
Do we think Detroit has a chance?
I actually do.
And yeah, I want to see him again.
I actually do.
How much better do we think Jared Goff is than than Russell Wilson?
He's not. He shouldn't be.
How much better do you think?
Oh, he's better than
Okay,
But he shouldn't. Yeah, I agree with you.
How much better, or if they are better, is the defense better than the Pittsburgh Steelers defense?
No, Lions defense is not better than Steelers.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying.
I think they're a better team. See, you could have a better defense or have a better offense, but when you look at a team, how you balance it. Yeah, our defense ain't that good, but our offense carries us a certain way, right? And they know how to balance it. I ain't gonna lie, our defense ain't that good, but when our offense needs to stop, we get them a stop. So it's all about how you balance the team. I think the Lions team is a good team.
So with all that being said, I know it's AFC, NFC. Let's just say the gods bless both them teams to be in the Super Bowl. Would you be surprised if Pittsburgh beat Detroit?
In the Super Bowl? Yeah, I would.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Detroit Lions because I believe they have a good football team with a great football coach, a Hall of Fame football coach, right? So all I'm saying is with what they have a chance to compete for a championship. If we are talking about any team and we say they're a quarterback away, are they a piece away? In my humble opinion, I feel like when we say that, I'm not saying a piece away from a playoff win.
No, I agree with you.
I'm saying a piece away from winning the championship.
But don't you think, that's the point I'm making, is that is the lie. We said that about the Denver Broncos. Let's not forget.
You don't believe in Russ
But
like
that's not realistic, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if that's a standard, there's like 2 teams that I think can actually compete.
Well,
we're getting very generous with who actually can compete for a Super Bowl.
Meaning, like, I do believe there are about 5 teams that can.
I think that's really generous. If we do that every year, I agree. I think every year we have 5 to 6 teams that we think are stacked and have the quarterback and have the coach and have the skill positions and the defense and all that. And in reality, there ends up being like 3.
Well, I think when I say can compete, I'm saying if a play would have broke this way or that way. For example, the Niners could have been in, the Lions could have been in, the Packers could have been in. Like, those are 3. We all know if the ball go the wrong way versus the Packers game, with all due respect, I love the Niners, Packers advance. You already know what type of time it is. The Lions have 3 4th downs against the Niners. If they get one of them joints, I love the Niners. The Lions go. So that's 3 from that side. Then obviously the Chiefs went. I think outside of the Chiefs, I think it was really only the Ravens, and we could argue how close the Ravens really. I'm with you. I'm just trying to be nice. So I would say 4. What I'm talking about, though, Joy, is like looking at, use the example of the Texans. Texans won a playoff game. They weren't close to winning the Super Bowl. The chasm between the Texans and the Ravens was gigantic. So I don't believe just winning one playoff game means you're contending. The Ravens weren't contending last year. The Texans weren't contending last year, though they won a playoff game. Cowboys won no playoff games. And I would suggest, like, you know what? Yeah, I think the Cowboys had a shot. I think the Cowboys had a shot. Now, you could argue, of course they don't. Because
you say they got talent.
That's the roster.
Now, but I would, if you wanted to say, of course they don't, I would listen to y'all.
This is the difference between winning and losing to me. Like, this is why we keep score. Because I hear you. A timeout this way, a call this way, a bounce this way. That's why you play the games, right? We don't do 7-game series in football. You show up, you play the game, the winner goes on, the loser goes home, and that's how history is written. I hear you, we can add some nuance to that, but if I'm the team that won, I don't want to hear about that. We did what we were supposed to do, and that's why we moved on. So when I say one player could be the difference in that, one player could be the difference in not competing and competing. To say that Russ is supposed to come in here and now all of a sudden the Steelers are supposed to be competing, like they're Super Bowl contenders in year 1, I feel like that is just an unrealistic expectation. I would love that. I think that would be amazing.
Because of Russ?
I think...
Because that's what I'm saying. Because that's what I'm, like, we're kind of dancing around it all. I'm saying that I don't believe Russ currently is good enough to be the difference. If it was Josh Allen, I'd be like, you know what? They'd be competing. That's what I'm getting at. Because when we say, like, it's like this. When we say they're a quarterback array, what we really need to say is they're MVP level quarterback play away. That's really what we need to say. We say, oh, they're just a quarterback away. No, you're not. No, you're not. You couldn't plug Trevor Lawrence into the Steelers and be a quarterback away.
You remember this when I used to be like, yo, we talk about Super Bowls way too much.
Loosely.
Because even like, let's say Russ plays his best, I still don't think that the Steelers going to win a Super Bowl. I don't. My favorite.
Why? Because I think, to me, because they're more than a quarterback away.
They just haven't been there in so long, I can't even see them doing that, right? They need a lot. We might say
Yes.
it's all Russ, but I think it's more than Russ.
That's where I am getting to.
Another thing is, but I say it's not all on Russ. I think they need more than just Russ.
So we got to stop saying quarterback away then.
That's all I'm saying.
What I'm saying is I never really get into the Super Bowl. Now that I like that now we're kind of filling in your boy and now we on the same page.
Yeah, conversation. We say Super Bowl conversation.
Right. Because even Josh Allen, that's my guy. Stephon Diggs, you can't tell me they shouldn't be in the Super Bowl. But as I look at the teams over and over again, I see the same patterns. They not Super Bowl contenders to me.
But you feel me? Hear what I'm saying on this.
You know what I'm saying? You think it's the quarterback and all that, but I've been watching y'all.
But what you know is this.
And you know lose the same team.
But you could say at least to sleep at night, you could say one play away. You could say, if not for do it, Kels, they would have been there. You can't say that about the Steelers.
Yeah, man.
The Steelers are so far away. At least the Bills, you can say, you know what? Maybe if it wasn't
they are close. They are closer.
Yeah,
but even that. But that's what I'm saying. I don't want to do the game of who's closer. You know what I mean? We're playing 21. I got 20. I'm just saying, when we talk about who won in the Super Bowl, though, it's only a couple dudes.
I know.
That's it.
I understand what y'all saying, but before the season starts, we do Super Bowl picks. I had the Jets and the Cowboys. Georgia, I believe, had the Buffalo Bills and somebody else.
Eagles.
Because we think they are contenders just by the roster. Not saying it's going to happen.
Right.
The main reason you thought the Buffalo Bills was contenders, probably not this last year, but years before, good defense, great quarterback, good receiver play, right? So that's all I'm saying. That's what Pittsburgh has. And if we're saying just win a playoff game, they was in the playoffs with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. So I think the bar is set way too low if we Russ, just win us one playoff game.
You know what? See, we always talk about the Russ thing, right? But I don't know how the offensive weapons for Steelers is going to play at that elite level. Because you know what?
That's in question, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Bingo.
You would think that Pickens would be this dog because we heard about it.
No question.
Coach said, I watched him in practice. He looked good at practicing. That's cool with camp. That's cool, right? Oh, they traded Johnson,
Deontay,
right? But I'm just thinking overall, we think that Najee Harris is going to just kill because he.
Correct.
We don't know that. So as much as we want to give it to Russ, I think that's that Steelers team. I need to see more than that on offense.
I mean, you got to put it together, but I'm just saying, on paper and what we've seen the Steelers do last. No, I'm saying what we've seen the Steelers do last year and the way they played football and how they won. Watching all their games, we're like, man, if they had a quarterback. You even brought it up. If Russ just do what he did in Denver last year, this team will be better, right?
Good year.
And yes, it all has to play out. I remember, I don't even know if y'all was with Philly, but when y'all signed Vince Young and all them, and y'all was the dream team, and y'all was sorry. But when y'all signed all them people, everybody they got a shot. They got Nnamdi Asomugha. They got Vince Young. Sorry, you cool.
I was never sorry.
But y'all team was
We had a bad year.
Yeah, you had a bad year. But when you got all those players, I'm sure y'all read the papers in Philly and all that, this team could win a Super Bowl. It didn't play out. I don't know how it's going to play out, but the players they have,
But that's what
they
I'm saying.
have a chance.
Every year we do the on paper thing.
Every year I thought I was going to win the Super Bowl.
We get a
I got
little
one.
long on the paper. We probably need to just put the rest of them in pencil.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.